What's up, guys? This is Dave from Crux Motorsports. We're going to be showing you today how to install our Grille Chrome Delete for the 2018 and up Honda Accord. This is going to come in 5 pieces. There's only 4 up there right now, but later in the video you'll see the last piece. You're going to have a pre-cut for here, which you'll install first. Then you have the face of the grille, which you install after the top piece. And then you have the 2 wings. The wings are just a single piece, and they're pretty straightforward to install. You are gonna have to hit this with a little bit of heat towards the end in these cracks where the 2 grille pieces meet up. You're gonna basically just heat it a little bit with a heat gun and then go ahead and push it in with your squeegee. Other than that, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. You just go on and make sure that you go ahead and clean the car thoroughly. This car's brand new, so we're good there. But other than that, this is available in a couple different shades. I'm going to put it up there on the carbon fiber too. The only thing that's going to be a little weird about the carbon fiber film is you're going to probably not be able to match the weave up between the top and the bottom. So basically you're going to have a seam right here, which is barely noticeable, but with the carbon fiber film, since it does have that weave pattern in it, it might be a little bit more pronounced. If that's not something that bothers you, by all means, go ahead and grab that. All right, so let's get started. All right, so first we're gonna do this center top section. And you're gonna wanna just peel it from the backing material. The hardest part is going to be getting it aligned in the corner. And if you look at your grille, you're going to notice that there is right before the hood, there's a little bit of I guess an angle. It drops back down. So you're going to want to make sure that you leave just a little bit extra material up there. And then once you go to fold, or I guess push the material down to that edge, it's going to cover that little bit of chrome that's still up there. So just work your way down. I use the hood as a guide. I guess this is still the bumper. Use that as a guide to basically, if you're right on that lip, you're pretty good as far as aligning it correctly. You're gonna want to not stretch this film any, because if you do, you're gonna end up with too much at the far side. If that does happen to happen, just go ahead and you can take a razor blade and just run it right down that edge to get rid of the extra material. It's not going to really affect anything. And I was actually just a touch short right there. So what I did is just pull the film a little bit. So as I go to press this down, I'm probably going to have a bunch up of material at some point. And now you're basically just working the air out from behind the film. Just like all of our other products, this is an air release film. It's applied completely dry. This particular one is cut out of Avery wrap material. So you're gonna have something that's gonna last a long time. You're not gonna have to worry about it. And it is reversible in case you do change your mind. You could go ahead and just peel this up. Even after a few years, you're going to be left with a very minimal amount of adhesive left on the car. Alternatively to using your fingertips like I'm doing, you can use a hard card. We do have them available for purchase. I have another squeegee here that I'm going to be using. Just wrapped in a microfiber. If you don't buy one of ours, or you have an extra one left over from another project, make sure you wrap it with something so you don't damage the film. If you do happen to get scratches in the film, you could go ahead and use a heat gun, and as you heat the film, it will actually take those scratches out. If you have super deep scratches, it's not gonna really help. But if you have something along the lines of sort of like your car will get the micro scratches just from washing it, as you heat this film, it will actually those scratches will come right out. And I do recommend post-heating it, because then any bubbles or air pockets that you missed are gonna pop up, and you can go ahead and just work those down at that point. The cool thing about this film is it has that air release feature, which basically allows that the air's still sort of trapped in there, but it's dissipated in those little channels. So you're not gonna have an issue with a bubble like prolonged being there. All right, so we got that piece installed. Now we're gonna move on to the front section. That is also pretty straightforward. We're just gonna start by lining in this corner and working our way down. And you do have to sort of push this film into that crease on both ends. So this next piece is a little bit more awkward because it does have that center section cut out for the logo, which makes the film a little bit more delicate to work with. So you want to be careful that you're not stretching the film at all. So once you get that aligned, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're covering where the top piece ends. You're not gonna be starting this lower section. It doesn't have to be that much of an overlap. Just enough to lock both materials on. Or I should say both sections of film. So I'm going to be, obviously you can see I'm aligning this at the top first and then I'll be working my way down. So once you have it aligned to where you like it, just go ahead and start to press it down. Like I said, the center section you might want to focus on first because it's going to be the most delicate, but so for this, I'm actually going to ditch the squeegee and just use the microfiber to press the material down. As you can see, it's going to start to bunch up here. But if you work slowly enough, you're not going to have to use any heat to make the material any more pliable. I don't like using the heat because, you know, if you heat this and try to pull it, you're actually going to stretch the material. It is cut to be just the perfect length to tuck under here. So if you happen to stretch out the material a little bit, you're going to end up with some excess, which isn't a huge deal, but on something like this, it's not super aggressive curve-wise, so you could just work at it a little bit and you'll be able to get all this pressed out. And the squeegee actually, the microfiber that I'm using actually has a wet spot on it from where I cleaned the grill at, so it's actually helping it slide a little bit better on this material. If you use a perfectly dry one, it will bind up a little bit. This section does suck in a little bit, so you just want to work from the top. Just make sure the material's set in there. Just push it down. And then in this very bottom corner, you're gonna run into that little tension in the film as well. But you'll be able to push it right in. And then once you get down to the very bottom lip, it's gonna easily just be able to roll into position. If you do get a crease in it, like I just did, you could just pull the film back up a little bit and then roll it back down. This one was being a little stubborn, so I'm gonna hit that with the squeegee just so you could uniformly press that down. I'm gonna finish up the other side, and we'll show you how to do this right now. All right, so the front upper and lower section are done. One thing that I did, not in the video, is I just ran the heat gun in this crack and used a squeegee to just push that material down so it seats a little bit better in the crack. And then on the emblem, if you run a heat gun around where that's overhanging at, and then it's easier if you use a squeegee wrapped with a hard card to push that material into the gap between the grill and the emblem, because you have a little bit more like width, I guess, of push, so you're able to get all that seated properly. So the last part, well, the second to last part are the chrome pieces above the headlights. Those are all in one section, so you don't have to worry about doing it in two sections. It's pretty straightforward, just like everything else. You're gonna want to start by aligning it in the center of the car, and that black gasket that is up there, you'll actually be able to get a squeegee under. So I like to just leave a little bit of overhang on that. So once you get this side aligned correctly, you just go ahead and work your way up. Like I said, if you want to go like right to the edge of that gasket there, that would be ideal. We'll flip around here. All right, so once it's aligned, just go ahead and start to work that material down. Just press it down with your fingertips. once you get that top surface good, you can go to this leading edge. I like to just use my thumb and roll that material down over that edge. And there's another curve at the bottom. So work the material flat on the front edge. Now I'm going to hit this bottom section with a little bit of heat just because the material is bunched up a little bit more on the sides. If you don't have a heat gun, you could use a hairdryer. Probably do like, I don't know, 200 degrees on a heat gun. And the final step before you get to the gasket is this back sort of goes in and it curves out, so you're just going to heat it a little bit. So you just use your fingertip to push that material in and back at the same time. And then once you have that done, you can get a squeegee. And get the rest of this material under that gasket. The gasket is a little tight, so just be careful when you're pushing it back. So then once you have that done, you go ahead and heat this gap. You just use a squeegee to push that material into that gap. So the last section is the piece that's directly underneath the grill, and we'll show you how to do that. All right, so the last section is this lower piece, and it's just basically like a pre-cut piece of straight material that you're going to align on the backside and just wrap it around. Then you're gonna roll it over this front edge. And one thing that I do want to point out on the side piece for above the headlamps, if this upper portion isn't aligned perfectly, this won't follow this edge correctly. So if you do see a gap here in the chrome still being exposed, if you take that overall material, once this top piece is tacked down, and pull this just slightly to get that aligned correctly, that will fix that issue. You shouldn't run into it, but in the event that you do, that's a quick and easy way to fix it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at how to do this. This is going to be the most difficult piece, just because it's awkward spot, not a lot of room to work. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of stretching the material as I go around the bottom. Just keep tension on it. There's a little bit of extra material here. If you do, I guess, overstretch this like I just did, you could trim that off just real quick. So once you got that bottom seated, just make sure it's nice and seated all the way around. If it runs onto the black part of the grill, that's not a big deal. Can't really tell anyways because it's black. We're gonna hit this with the heat gun and just roll this material up in. And like I mentioned previously, it's easier if you have some sort of squeegee with a microfiber to get a little bit more width there to push it into that gap. So I'm gonna heat this and we'll take a look at it. I always start in the corners. It's just the more difficult spot. Once it's on a flat edge, it's pretty easy to push in. There you go. Let me grab some spray detail and we'll take a look at the overall product. All right, so we got this spray detailed now. So you can see it's just a nice gloss black. And one thing about this material is, I guess you can sort of see it there, it does have more of a chrome gloss black look than full black like the grill. This material is actually slightly see-through, so it will pick up some of the original chrome from the grill. See if I get the light to adjust. It's not, I guess it's not super noticeable, but it is definitely a touch lighter than the rest of the grill. And if you want to, I guess, avoid that, the matte and the sand finish are completely opaque, so you won't be able to see any light transmission through that. So you would have a true black finish. This is available on our website, and that piece that I just put on, you actually get 2 of those with the kit in case you mess up. Like I said, that is one of the more difficult pieces to do, and you don't necessarily need to do it, but if you don't do it, you're gonna have, I guess, this bottom piece of chrome exposed. So right now you just have the chrome around the actual Honda emblem instead of having any chrome exposed on the grille. So this definitely is an awesome mod. It's pretty straightforward, the entire process. If you take your time, you know, you won't have really any issues. If you've ever installed any of our other products, this is the same material that we use in the other products. So it's straightforward, simple installation. Air release, you won't get any bubbles. So just things to watch out. You want to make sure the grill and the surrounding areas are completely clean, because you will pick up dirt if it's not. And like I mentioned, in these corner sections, if that's not lining up completely correctly, just go ahead and pull that material a little bit, and then you'll be able to seat it down better. So if you have any questions, leave us a comment, and make sure you subscribe and like our channel. We try to do as many install videos as we can. Thanks for watching.